Today I'm going to show you how to paint clouds. I've had a lot of people ask and request how they do that. A lot of people struggle with this. I want to show you today for my palette. I have white, I have phthalo blue, which is a true blue, I have ultramarine, which is kind of purpley, I have a little bit of burnt umber, which is brown, a little bit of magenta, and a little bit of yellow. Now, do you need all of these colors to paint clouds? No. However, it will make your clouds just really pop and stand out and look gorgeous. Now, if you know me, you know I am not a fan of washing my brush while I paint. I will wipe it off with a paper towel, but I love how my colors blend together. Also, I would suggest a lot of people who have taken classes, they've had artists suggest that they wet their brush before they paint. Please do not do that. I have my degree in painting and art, and I will tell you, people who've told you to wet your brush with acrylic painting before you start painting, they either do not have their degree in art or they are a watercolor major. Now, there are reasons why you would use water in order to start painting with acrylic or in certain techniques, but this is not one of them. We're going to go over blending. And I do not blend my colors on my palette before I put them on my canvas. I love to let the colors blend on my canvas. It looks gorgeous. So I'm going to start off with a big old scoop of white, right? I'm just going to scoop up as much white off my palette as I can, and I'm going to start by just painting a ton of white across my canvas. Get it nice and wet. Now, this is why we do not add water to our paint, because if we do, not only does it make our paint dry faster, some people say it doesn't, it does. I promise you, the more paint you have, the slower it dries. Then I'm going to take just a little pinprick of my phthalo blue, and I'm going to start working it into that wet white that I just put all over my canvas. I can also take just a little bit of my ultramarine, which is kind of a purpley color, right? It's like a purple blue, and I can also start working that in. All right, going back to my white, so I have a nice wet surface. If you ever start seeing that canvas show through and it becomes really difficult to get that paint on the canvas, that means it is too dry and you need to add more white paint, because that's our base. All right, you want lots of plenty of good wet color. And as you go, you can add a little bit of that blue. You can make it as dark as you want. Right, and if you want to darken it up, you can also add just a teeny pinprick of that burnt umber. That brown will darken up that blue. Now, we don't want to add black to this sky unless you want just like a rainy cloud sky. You can do that. I'm going to add a little bit more white here. There we go. All right, so if you want it to look rainy and sad and overcast, you can add some black, but I suggest in order to deepen some of those colors, you add some of that burnt umber brown to some of your blue. All right, so here's my blue. I'm going to add a little bit of that brown to it. And again, you want to add pinpricks at a time because it is quite a strong color. All right, so little bitty bits. And I'm also going to add some more of that phthalo blue, which is kind of that purpley blue. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Okay, now skies tend to go side to side. If you want to mix it up and go up and down, that's fine, but it's going to look like you have some funny looking wispy clouds. Okay, so once I get it all nice and blue, I can even make it really dark down here if I want to, and really light up here. But you don't want a whole lot of white streaked in, because if you do, then your clouds, when we go to paint them, they're not going to be very visible. All right, so I'm going to blend in some of that blue. Again, I'm going to add a little bit more of that phthalo. I love this really dark purpley blue. I think it's beautiful. All right, while your background is still wet, make sure that it has not dried yet, because if it has, your clouds are not going to turn out very well. You need to do this process very quickly. You're going to dip it in some white. Notice I did not wash my brush, and you're going to do what I call a pyramid shape. So you're going to start with a curve up top, right, and then you're going to work your way down. Okay, and I keep dipping it in just a little bit of white. Okay, once I have that, I don't have to add any more paint onto my brush, and I can come in and kind of blend those out so they blend into my sky. Now, I can dip it in more white, and I can add some more of my clouds. Now, I'm doing this with a fairly large brush. If you want to go to a smaller brush, you can. Okay, I'm just dipping it in white and doing these small little bitty arches. Now what I've noticed from teaching people, because again I used to work as a paint instructor, what I've noticed is people have a really hard time with this shape, this kind of arch shape, little bitty. A lot of people will do this, where they get a lot of white and they do these big old arches that swoop across, and this is not what you want to do. This is looking more like a rainbow and a little bit less like a cloud. Okay, you want to put it down and just smooth it just a little bit. Okay, and you're going to go out into a kind of pyramid shape. All right. Now the reason I added the magenta and the yellow to my palette is because clouds are not just white or blue, right? A lot of clouds have a little bit of yellow in them or a little bit of that kind of pink orange color, right? Clouds tend to be all kinds of colors. Okay, now granted they're not rainbow colored, but at the same time, just because you add a little bit in there doesn't mean it's gonna look bad. Okay, and I might add a little bitty one up here, kind of going off my canvas. Now again, you can see the reason why we do this while our background is still wet is so that the bottom blends into that blue. So that is the key. You want it to be really white up here, and you want it to blend in as it goes down. So it's bluer at the bottom. Now if you wanted to make it darker, you could take a little bit of that blue, maybe even a little bit of that blue brown onto your brush, right? And you can add some darkness in here. Okay, and make it kind of darker at the bottom. All right, so you can see how now it is really, really light up here and it gets darker as it goes down. Okay, and I can add a little bit of dark down here if I want to too. Now again, I'm doing this with a very wet background. You can see how it's very shiny, right? I'm gonna add a little bit of white because I kind of lost it when I did that dark. Okay, and the great thing about acrylic is you can go over it as many times as you want. Now say for example I did it and I do not like how it looks. Do not try to fix it while it's wet, because if you try to fix it while it's wet, it's just going to turn into one big mud puddle. Alright, you want to make sure and wait until it's nice and dry, and then you can go over it again. So for example, if I had a big old dark streak and I'm like, oh, that's so ugly, I don't like that at all, right? I'm going to wipe off my brush first. I'm going to kind of blend out as much as I can, and then if I don't like it, I can wait until it's dry and I can go back over it. Okay, I would add maybe even a little more white up here as we go, but once you're done tweaking it and you're happy with it, make sure and leave it. Let it dry for at least a day until tomorrow, or you can speed it up by blow drying it with a blow dryer. However, in the future, that can make your paint crack, so you want to be kind of careful with that. And that's how you do clouds. It's a very simple movement with the arch. Start with the white on top and then blend it down into that blue.